Alrighties, boys and girls. So here we go. It's time to finally do the preview of MLS Cup 2024, which will kick off in less than an hour between the LA Galaxy versus the New York Redbulls. And it's hard to believe that we're now already in MLS Cup 2024. It feels like it's just yesterday the season has begun, but we finally got to the pinnacle in terms of the season. We are going to see a team crowned as champion, and for one team, they're looking to chase for a record sixth MLS Cup champion and try to win for the first time in over a decade. And then for another team, there's no doubt not only they want to finally win their first ever MLS Cup, but finally end the narrative of playoff futility and the legacy of failure that the New York Red Bulls had. And also, not to mention, most importantly, ending the That's So Metro narrative that has kind of surrounded this team ever since its inception of becoming one of the charter team in MLS. And what's also interesting about this MLS Cup, this is actually going to be the first MLS Cup that we're going to be featuring two teams that came into the league and our charter team that came into the league back in 1996 since 2014 when the Galaxy take on New England. And if you're a Galaxy fan, if you can recall, that is the last time that they won an MLS Cup. So in a battle between two MLS 1.0 kind of team, I mean, you could say that the Galaxy, if they go by that history, they have the advantage. But there's no doubt that they're going to be favorite in this game, even though, as I'll mention, one of their key player is not available in this game. Now, this game will start at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, same time as last year as well. But the only difference is going to be played in the bright sunshine that is Carson, California. Now, all-time meeting 21, 9, and 21 is the all-time meeting, so it doesn't get any closer than that when it comes to the all-time meeting between both of these teams. Obviously, it's been a while since both of these teams have played, since they are not in the same conference, and now we're into the time where you usually do not see team, of course, play against an Eastern Conference opponent a lot. Though something tells me next season they'll play again because we always see an MLS Cup rematch the following season. But yeah, it is very tight. 21 wins apiece, 9 draws, and the last 5 head-to-head matchup, well, these last couple of matchup has been pretty high scoring. Now, I'm not quite sure if that's going to be the case in terms of MLS Cup. I mean, we have seen some high scoring MLS Cup before. Just look at what happened a couple of years ago in that free game between LAFC and the Philadelphia Union, which will go down as probably the craziest MLS Cup we have ever seen in the league history. Though something tells me that if it's a Galaxy game, there's going to be some craziness that's going to happen. But the last 5 head-to-head matchup, in fact, the last 3 times, the final scoreline was 3-2 in this game. It was a 3-2 win the Galaxy had against the Red Bulls last time both of these teams met in the regular season. Before the Red Bulls winning 3-2 against the Galaxy, and then the Red Bulls winning 3-2 on the road against the Galaxy, but the Galaxy returns the favorite on the road by winning 3-1 against the Red Bulls. Then it was a 2-2 draw between both of these teams. So again, goal scoring is going to be something that if you look at the last 5 head-to-head matchups, something tells me maybe this is going to be another meeting between both teams that there could be some high scoring affair. Though, judging by what we saw in the conference final, I don't know if that could be the case because the conference final not only was very low scoring, but there was only 2 goals that was scored in both of the conference final combined. Now, to their road to MLS Cup, well, for the Galaxy, they have pretty much steamrolled their way to this stage. And I say pretty much if you don't look at what we saw in the Western Conference Final, where that was really the first game where they really were tested and had to grind it out. But in round number 1 in the best of 3 series against Colorado, it was not a contest. They won 5-0 against the Rapids in game 1, followed by a 4-1 road win against the Rapids. And then in round number 2, this was potentially an upset special according to some, and certainly according to me as well, attending this game, I had a great feeling that Minnesota was going to pull off the upset. Nope. Instead, the Galaxy absolutely throttled Minnesota by winning 6-2 in that game. And then, as I mentioned, in the Western Conference Final, that was probably the matchup where they really had to grind it out. And in some way, I would say that they almost play into the trap that the Sounders were trying to do, which is trying to grind out a resort and nick a goal near the end. But they were able to get a big goal from Dejan Joveljic late in the game to move on to MLS Cup for the first time since 2014. Now, for the New York Red Bulls, it's been mostly in terms of how they got to this point is because of how good this defense is. I mean, it is hard to believe that in all the road games that they have played so far this season in the playoffs, it's been all shutout. It start off with a shocking 1-0 win against Columbus, the defending MLS Cup champion. And don't let that scoreline distract you to the fact that not only the fact that the Red Bulls were the better team in that game, they should have scored more goals in that game. That was kind of almost a microcosm of the Red Bulls' second half season, not able to put their opponent away. But surprisingly, they were able to hold on against a Columbus team that you would not expect that they would be shut out at home, especially by 1-0 scoreline. But then in game number two, it was a little bit tougher for the Red Bulls. In fact, they did a That's So Metro moment there by giving up a late goal. But again, something that was different about the Red Bulls compared to previous season when they don't suffer that That's So Metro narrative is that they're able to recover from it. They won a PK shootout, which feels like once in a blue moon for the Red Bulls, consider they have suffered so many PK shootout fatality both in the playoffs and in other competition as well. But they won 5-4 in that PK shootout. And then in the second round in the New York Derby, they were able to take down their intercity rival NYCFC 2-0 on the road. Probably, arguably, the biggest New York Derby win and the biggest Hudson River Derby win that they've ever had. Probably even better than the 7-0 Red Wedding game that we saw in the first couple of years of this rivalry existing. And then, of course, in the Eastern Conference Final, they were able to squeeze through a 1-0 win against Orlando City in a game where it was an absolute defensive master class and also a perfect role performance by the Red Bulls. They pretty much shut down Orlando City throughout the game, not giving them too much chances. And now, again, this is a game that, as I'll talk about in the big storyline, it just kind of feels like it has a very similar storyline to when the Galaxy play against Seattle. It's the immovable object versus the unstoppable force. Now, the top goal scored so far for both of these teams for the Red Bulls, it's still Lewis Morgan with 13 goals, followed by Emil Frostberg with 10 goals. Elias Manuel with 8 goals, Dante Vanzier with 6 goals, and Cameron Harper with 5 goals. And what's kind of interesting in terms of the top 5 goals scored for the Red Bulls, only Dante Vanzier is the one that have been himself on the score sheet lately. Most of the other guys has been kind of keep off the score sheet for the Red Bulls. For the Galaxy, you got Dejan Joveljic with 20 goals now, followed by Gabriel Peck with 19 goals. Ricky Puig, who of course won't be available in this game with 17 goals, followed by Joseph Painsil with 13 goals, and that's pretty much the big four that we know about the Galaxy of how lethal it is. Probably the most lethal attack in the league this season, besides Inter Miami that is. And then you got Diego Fagundes with 4 goals to round up the top 5. Top assist leader for the Red Bulls, it's now Dante Vencier. He leads the team with 11 assists. Who would have thought that that would be the case? If you would have told any Red Bulls fan that Dante Vencier would be the one that leads the assist, I mean, nobody would have believed you. But again, as I said before, when you are struggling to score a goal, sometimes why not set it up for your teammate? And that's exactly what Dante Vencier has done. Followed by Lewis Morgan with 7 assists, Emil Frostberg with 6 assists, Dylan Nealis with 5 assists, and Elias Manuel rounds up the top 5 with 4 assists. For the Galaxy, of course, their top assist leader is still Ricky Puig with 17 assists, including the game-winning assist against Seattle, despite the fact that he was still playing with a torn ACL. Then you got Gabriel Peck with 16 assists, Joseph Painter with 11 assists, Dejan Joveljic with 8 assists, and Mark Delgado with 7 assists to round up the top 5 assist leader for the Galaxy. So, now let's talk about the big storyline. And we're going to have 5 big storyline coming into this game. And I'm pretty sure there are definitely some more big storyline. But for the sake of not making this preview being super long, the first big storyline obviously has to be the Ricky Puig injury. So this is pretty much the headline. Really, after when we found out that Ricky Puig torn his ACL and he was done for not only this season but potentially for majority of next season. How will the Galaxy cope with how big of a blow this is? Obviously, I know that there's a lot of people that said that it's a huge blow, but keep in mind the Galaxy without Ricky Puig this season, they're 3-1-1 this year. So it's not like they're not they're absolutely it's a team that just simply cannot cope we get without Ricky Puig. They're still a team that can be capable to do, but obviously they do lose a huge piece, especially in that midfield, and especially just that kind of the floor general in that midfield for this team. And he's definitely an irreplaceable kind of player, and we'll see how big of a blow this could be, especially to this Galaxy attack that needs a difference maker in terms of breaking down this Red Bulls defense. I feel like heading into this game, there's no doubt the Red Bulls are going to go with the same game plan as what Seattle does. They're going to try to sit deep, and that when you have a team that you're facing that is sitting deep and give you the ball to try to break them down, you need a different maker, and we've seen many times before. Ricky Puig, of course, has done it, and again, that's where the huge blow comes with him not being available in this game. But like I said before, it feels like this is once again a game where for the third game in a row, the Galaxy face the same dilemma of facing a game where it's kind of like the immovable object versus the unstoppable force. The Galaxy has been an unstoppable force this season, scoring 16 goals. I think they're now tied with Toronto FC with the most goal ever scored in a playoffs, and they're facing against a Red Bull side that it's basically the immovable object. They have not conceded any goals so far this season on the road. They have only conceded two so far in the playoffs. Both of them came in that one game against Columbus. So again, the old saying goes that defense, of course, wins championship, but it seems like right now the Galaxy just didn't care. Like they're still going through hard when it comes to their attack. And one thing I also will say about the Galaxy, and this is something that I don't think a lot of people have talked about, and I kind of underappreciate it, the defense have finally started to step up. The defense was kind of the big issue, I think, coming into this playoffs, and I've mentioned many times before how that was a huge concern and the big Achilles heel with this Galaxy team, especially of how poor at time when it comes defensively. But when you look at the Galaxy so far, really, besides the two goals that they conceded against Minnesota and the one that they conceded against Colorado, that's pretty much it in terms of the goals that they conceded. They themselves only conceded three so far this season. So while everybody has talked about how good the attack is right now, people are kind of forgetting that the defense have also kind of locked down too. Now it kind of also helps when you are blowing team left and right and so forth, but still, it's impressive to see how this defense has really hold up despite the fact that that was probably the biggest liability coming into this playoff for this Galaxy side. Now, the other thing that is a big storyline is that the Galaxy are still unbeaten at Disney Health Sports Park. They have not lost a single game so far this season, though they are playing against a Red Bull side that have won all their road games so far this playoffs and yet to concede a goal. So again, this is kind of something like something has to give when it comes to this game. Somebody's gonna have to lose for the first time either at home or on the road in the playoffs. And not to mention the Red Bulls have also been a very good team once again on the road. Not a big surprise consider the philosophy that they of course follow, a team that doesn't like to have possession and likes to press so for. It's definitely a more successful formula to do on the road compared to when you're playing at home. But there's no doubt that when it comes to the possession stats, the Galaxy is going to be the protagonist in this game. The Galaxy is a team that likes possession, which is kind of interesting because for a team that also likes to go on the transition and a team that likes to have some very speedy player that can hit you on the counter attack, this is the team that also likes to have possession as well. And again, it's not surprising because usually Greg Vanney team, even going back to his Toronto days, is a team that love to have possession and love to dictate the play. But in some way, that's something that the Red Bulls they wouldn't mind for that to happen. The Red Bulls have repeatedly been one of the lowest possession team, and they're a team that also does likes to press and likes to win the ball high up the pitch. And this is kind of where I once again question in terms of this Galaxy defense because so far this Galaxy defense, for the most part, when it comes to all the games that they face, they haven't really been tested that much because their opposition not only at times are already out of the game with the Galaxy attack being at so potent, but they haven't really been tested by the opposition because the opposition really hasn't been kind of either the protagonist or really trying to press against them. I mean, the only game I can think of that they really got kind of low press was against Minnesota, where Minnesota did try to press a bit, and there were times where the Galaxy were vulnerable in that first half against Minnesota. So you wonder whether or not if that could be the case with the way that the Red Bulls are going to press you. The Red Bulls are going to make life hard, and with the way that the Galaxy are not careful, especially playing that back on the defensive front, that could be a huge problem and a huge advantage to the Red Bulls. Now, that being said, if the Galaxy is able to play through the Red Bulls press, while the Red Bulls have been very disciplined on the defensive front, if the Galaxy are able to bypass that press, they know there's going to be a lot of space behind. And when there's space behind, that could be a dangerous sign when you face against this Galaxy team. We know how good this team is in the transition. I mean, they almost copy almost the same formula as their intercity rival LAFC are when it comes to transition. They have some very fast players on the wing that can easily they cut you open on the transition. That's going to be something that the Red Bulls are going to be have to worry about. But that being said, one thing I will say about the Red Bulls and why, I know this is going to be probably the toughest task that they will have to face when it comes to stopping this Galaxy attack. But people forget that, look at some of the games that they face in the playoffs. They have shut down some high power attack. I mean, the game against Columbus, probably equally almost as good as the attack that this Galaxy has. They pretty much shut them down for the most part. And even in the game against NYCFC and Orlando, NYCFC, they can be a good opponent attack, especially what we saw in the second half, though. They survived that, and then to kind of shut down Orlando City side that, while Orlando City has had their issue when it comes to finishing chances, the fact that they didn't really even allow them to have a lot of chances and put up a defensive masterclass. Again, there's going to be a lot of little details and little battles that I will be keeping an eye throughout this game. But one thing for sure is that I know this is going to be a good MLS Cup final, and whatever happened in this MLS Cup, we're gonna crown a new champion, whether it's one that is chasing a record 6 MLS Cup champion, that is the LA Galaxy, or the New York Red Bulls finally getting their deserved first MLS Cup, and after years of frustration and years of pain that the Red Bulls fans have suffered, is this finally the moment where they finally reach their first MLS Cup, and also not have to hear from their hated intercity rival about the fact that they still don't have an MLS Cup, even though their rival have already won one just a couple of years ago. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below what do you think of this preview, and let me know in the comments below your prediction for this game. Who's gonna win this one? Who's gonna be the one that wins MLS Cup 2024? Don't forget, right after when this game is over, I'm immediately going to do the review of this game as well, and also we're going to find out in less than 24 hours who is going to be the champion of the 2024 MLS season. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.